just for me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It is time for art. I'm your host, Hershey Petty. We want to say thank you guys, every single one of you, for joining us, whether it's your first time or you're an artist that never misses a class. It means so much to all of us here that you guys take time for art with us every day, and we want to say thank you for that. Today, if you see on your calendars, it is Wednesday, April 20th, and we are going to be painting the palm tree one. A lot of you guys probably saw on your calendars to trace ahead of time. If not, now's a good time to start. This painting, we're very excited. I'm so excited because it reminds me of like Jurassic Park, and it reminds me of like the wild side of Hawaii. So it's gonna be a little bit, a lot of fun for us tonight. So get ready for that. Before we go any further, I do want to say the reminder to please check us out on our social media. We've got all the social media. So if you like one more than the other, we're there. Check us out on the other ones too. So we got some really cool content coming up. And I really wanted to highlight our Instagram this time because we decided that we're going to start showcasing the template challenge winner on Instagram every month. So we'll do like, we'll blow it up. We want everyone to see the work that you guys are doing out there. And we also want to, put a nice pat on the back to the template challenge winner for that month. So if you're not already following us on Instagram, please go ahead and go there so that you guys will be able to see. And if you are the winner ever and you don't want to be featured like that on our Instagram, no big deal. Just let us know ahead of time. We'll make sure that you don't have to do that. But we really want everyone to see our community of artists. So, template challenge paintings are due Friday. Do not forget. And tonight is also the last night for you guys for new people to subscribe for our May Time for Art box. And so if you have anybody that you really wanted to get that friends and family 20 discount, tonight's the last night for them to register. So do not forget to remind them. And then one last thing before we go on is that Allison and I both really enjoyed doing the brush tutorial on Monday. So if there's anything else like that you guys, questions you might have or whatever, please let us know. We'd love to do those kind of things. We had a lot of fun. I don't know about you guys, the color mixing, the brush cleaning. I love all those things. It makes me feel like I'm really learning new art skills. So let us know in the comments section. That's where you guys will say hi to us. You'll interact with us. You can interact with your fellow artists. You guys do you in there, have fun. And remember, for anybody who's new, you don't have to follow along. You're welcome to just watch and chat and enjoy. These videos are available on our YouTube and Facebook immediately following every live session. So without further ado, let's say hello to our resident artist, Allison Crary. Hi, Al.
Hi, Hershey. How are you?
I'm really great. How are you doing?
So excited. And this is one of my favorite paintings. And Hershey and I even talked about how it feels kind of like safari art, or there's something kind of overgrown and I don't know, adventure filled about something like this. So we're just kind of excited to put that energy into our paintings. So I'm actually working from my original. So I'm just going to do a quick, if this is the first time you're joining us, you're going to get out your outline. It won't look like this. Don't worry about it. It'll look like an outline. You're going to want to hinge it to the top of your canvas panel. Tuck your transfer paper. You're going to want the dark one this time. Sticky, shiny, graphite side down. And you're going to get out your pencil. And on your actual outlines, you are going to trace the lines you see. And they are going to show up over here on this side. Because I'm working from one that's not the one I gave you, I went ahead and did it, and you will get something that looks a lot like this. So go ahead and get started there. In the meantime, I'm going to kind of get set up here. The colors you're going to be using are lemon yellow, sap green, and raw umber. You have those in your boxes. We always use white. And here's actually my original painting for this. And there's kind of, I just kind of want to talk a little bit about this. The there's a little bit of atmospheric perspective going on here where the colors in the background are both lighter and they're actually even a little bit bluer. They get warmer as we get progressively closer. So we add yellows and browns and more warmer colors as we get closer in space than further away. So we're going to touch on that. And then also while we trace, I wanted to just kind of give everybody an update on my journal.
Yeah.
So I'm doing this kind of progression through the island, starting at the resort, ending up on sort of another island that is full of adventure. And so this still needs to get decided what I'm going to write in there. And I think I had my message in a bottle going before. I think we've seen that.
Yeah.
Here was our sketch of this guy that we did. We've seen this.
So you go, I like how it feels like you're going on vacation because there's a postcard.
You're on vacation. This is kind of foreshadowing. You start with the postcard, kind of foreshadowing like what's to come.
Yeah.
And then we saw the tiki bar one. And then I went ahead and did it. And this is kind of the like the sweet, sort of laid back, like happy energy of the tiki bar.
That's definitely a resort. There's a drink and a guitar or a ukulele. That's definitely a resort.
Yeah, I still have to put the strings on the ukulele. So this is kind of still a work in progress. And then I went ahead and filled in. I'm going to paint over these, but I went ahead and base coated in these guys and these guys. So I put in what will be the flesh tone and the base tones for the shell and the starfish. Yep. We've seen these. We have the flip-flops. We have the sunglasses. We have the shell. We're going into the water, underwater. Still have to put in some guys here. This is our whale that we painted together and drew together on Monday.
That was a ton of fun.
Yeah, I've set up where my message in the bottle, and I think I'm going to have a treasure map that kind of gets exposed as we come on shore. I think that's what I'm going to end up putting here, kind of for the way up. And then we've seen this. We did this one together. And then this was just kind of some sort of like free association, just kind of island painting on just kind of the looseness of being on the island.
Mm-hmm. And I love those white leaves, Allison.
Thanks. Yeah, kind of reminiscent of the palm fronds we painted. Mm-hmm. And then I think I'm going to do like I'm going to do some really detailed like tiki sculptures here. And then I painted just on this one, the pineapple. So,
beautiful.
Just having some fun. Different things. These two painted pages are from when we did, this is paint from our Strawberry Sunset is what set up this one. And then
your extra paint for the night?
What's that? That's the paint we used that night. I painted my extra with these two pages and then served as the background for my pineapple. So I'm gonna finish all of those. I need some underwater creatures, and then I think I'm gonna end up with buried treasure on the island. I think that's, and I mean it's a little bit campy, but it's the fun of the templates and it's the fun of the experience. And I painted things that I wouldn't have done had I kind of not had this prompt. Like, I think this was kind of a cool way to go underwater. I kind of liked how this progression kind of went deeper and deeper underwater. So I've had a lot of fun, which is the whole point of the journal, is to just be free and not overthink it and see where it takes you. And in this case, it was a kind of journey.
Yeah, all right. Hey, real quick, can you go back the drawing of the painting of the pineapple? Ruth wrote in, she wants to know if that was a fly that you painted there.
Which where? No. What looks like a fly? Right here? Maybe? So. No, but I think I need a fly now. Let's add a fly right there. I love it. That should be a fly. Let's go with that.
Can I make a recommendation too? You know that part of the beginning where you don't know what to say and that something?
Oh yeah.
I think that should be something about a treasure. Like
Oh,
since it ends with the buried
paradise
treasure.
awaits, like treasure
Yeah.
hunt, or maybe
Yeah.
be like a painting that has a sign that points and says treasure, and it Hershey has
Oh
a
yeah, yeah,
that that says treasure. It's a painting of a sign.
yeah.
And that was after our first show that we did together. Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
Long history. So, okay. Hopefully everybody's got the foundation of the outline, and it's going to look a little bit different than mine because I was working from a different copy, but we will all end up with the same painting. I promise. And first thing we are going to do is mix a whole lot of some colors. Sometimes we're kind of stingy with our paints. Today is not one of those days. Okay. So we're going to put some white in 3 wells. And these are kind of generous dollops, if you take a look. And we'll always stick some white in the middle.
I'm back.
All right.
All righty.
And we're going to drop in some raw umber in the first one. And raw umber is kind of a taupey brown. And we're going to stick some sap green in the middle one. And we're going to stick some sap green and raw umber.
Alrighty.
And we're going to mix.
Are you doing pea-sized drops again?
These are pea-sized drops, and we have kind of some double drops and then some. But we just want to make sure we have enough paint here. And then we have some white in the middle. And if it's the first time you're joining us, we measure paint in the size of frozen peas.
Yeah.
And so I realize some peas are bigger than other peas. We're talking about the kind that come from like that you can buy for $1, and it's like a bag. And
That's right.
That's what we're going for here. And that is how I was a
variation in those sizes.
Yeah. So everybody understands that. If you weren't a frozen pea family, I don't know what to tell you, but we were. And we put frozen peas in macaroni and cheese, and it's delicious. Don't tell me it's not. So, okay, we're going to start mixing here. And based on what you have and where you are, we might make some adjustments. And that's actually exactly what I want in a medium brown. Plenty of it. Looks kind of like a chocolate milkshake. Looks good. We're gonna go over here to this one next because I don't want to contaminate this a whole lot. This, because not all colors were created equal, is going to take some more green, because even though we put in equal portions of green and brown, look what completely disappeared. So, generous, double drop, sap green. That is the color we're going for. Do we see this? It's kind of a khaki green maybe, or an army green.
Yeah.
Actually, I want even more.
You want more green?
Another double drop. This green is just going to be one of those colors that disappears on us, and that's okay. And actually, after that, I'm going to take a dollop of that green and add even more green to it, because we really want some green here. Yeah, that's what we're going for right here. And then
mine too. The green is not created equal.
The green wasn't created equal. And you know, we can be upset about that, or we can just use more green. And I elect to use more green. And then last but not least, I've cleaned out my brush. We're gonna mix the green with the white. And we want this to be pretty faint. With our sky color.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe not that faint. So we're gonna add a little more green. And this is actually the color we're gonna start with, which is why I mixed it up last. That looks really good. And it's
Would
on
you
your
say
brush.
like a mint green?
It's like a mint green, but it's kind of a yellow green. So it's kind of in between a mint, but this is the mintiest it's going to be because it's in our background and we're going to have more yellow in all of our colors as we build them up.
Gotcha.
So we're just going to leisurely paint in our background with this minty green. And in the state of Indiana, where I'm from, a green sky means tornadoes. But I don't think that's what it means here. I think it's just kind of a green toned image.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a blue sky, but the whole kind of vibe of the limited color palette is green. So it's green in here. Making it blue would be a mistake. And that's kind of the joy of limited color palette paintings is you end up using colors where maybe they aren't necessarily found in nature, but they're actually more appropriate than making everything because you're going for a tone and kind of an idea.
Yeah.
So it makes more sense to make the sky green than blue in this instance because we're kind of going for this overgrown kind of wild feral.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying.
It would be really easy to pick the wrong blue for the sky if you were going with just regular colors, but sticking with a color, sticking with that like a color theme, it eliminates that problem.
It's a really good point. All right, so I'm just making sure I have all of my holes filled in, and it's going to dry up, and it might not be, so we've got plenty of it here. And I'm just painting in my green sky. All right, and the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the white from the middle because I dropped some white in there. And we're just gonna put in white clouds. And now these are the texture of clouds, so don't get too hung up on making them flat and white and perfect. And we kind of wanted, I didn't wash out my brush first. We kind of wanted to pick up some of the other colors on our brush, the greens, some other stray colors that might be in here. What's coming in on our feed, Hershey? Who are we hearing from?
You know what? I think we're going at breakneck speed. The comments have gone quiet.
Okay.
And I think everyone is trying to get their greens right and get their skies filled in. Excellent. Which I can appreciate.
Well, welcome to everyone.
Yes.
So everyone can kind of see what my sky is doing right now. We have a green sky. We have white kind of variegated clouds. I would say the sun, it's probably like noon. It looks really directly overhead right now. Mm-hmm. And so if you want to make kind of the tops of your clouds a little bit whiter, I would suggest that. So I'm kind of capping off the tops of my clouds with some white paint. And so, yeah, just to show everybody kind of here, that's what my sky is looking like at this point. And we're gonna kind of let this dry for a minute. It's in, the trees are in. I'm gonna wash out my brush and move on.
All righty.
So working backwards to forwards. The next thing we're going to do is paint in these guys right here, and we're going to use our green brown to do it. So we've got these kind of two little foothill mountains. And we're just going to kind of paint these guys in.
Is the atmospheric pressure effect, is that something you do at the end?
Well, it's just kind of recognizing that there's lighter colors in the background.
Okay.
And that they're bluer, so to speak. And then we're going to also mix into this that we created some of our whites. And we're going to kind of top those off. because the sun is overhead. Just like that for now. And yes, we're actually we might do a white veiling technique to kind of recess some of this stuff. And then I'm just gonna kind of, I washed out my brush, I dried it off, and I'm just gonna kind of feather blend the mountains together. Just like that. And I want mine to look more like peaks. So I'm gonna kind of fix that. Just like that.
Okay.
And then our next color is this chocolate brown color that we mixed ourselves. And this kind of goes in this space behind the trees. And so I'm just going to kind of paint this in. Just like this. And this is this kind of chocolate milkshake color. Kind of go around my trees. And if you still have your drawing hinged, you don't need to be too worried. Because if for whatever reason you kind of lose your palm fronds, you can get it back. It's right there. Just let it dry, retransfer. You're good to go. But the trick with this one is to get everything in, and then we'll reevaluate.
Okay.
We're going to fill in our kind of whole page here. Sometimes we do this with washes, but this is kind of such thick paint, and the style is just really kind of dense and expressive. Really cool. Yeah, it's a little different than some of our other paintings. Not too much, but a little bit. And so we're just going to do it with thick, full-on paint at this stage of the game.
So people might cover up some lines by accident, and not to fear.
Yeah, and never fear, ever.
Right.
Not a big deal. Get them back. There is no fear with our way of painting. You can always get it back. You can always let it dry. We give you 3 canvases. If you ever wanted to repaint something, you can. We're all here to support each other.
We need to find a link to some really good canvases if people want to extracurricular activity.
Do we sell them on our store? Do we have extra canvas on our Time for Art store? I gotta look. There's going to be some updates to that. Haven't been the first priority, but okay. And then the same trick here, we're going to take some of our white from the middle. I'm going to add some more. And we're going to kind of top off our mountain with some white. And this one, the white is kind of geometric almost. It kind of hits this kind of shape. Down the mountain, it's a little lighter through here. Over here. Just like that. And then we're going to take some of our chocolate milkshake color. Add it to one of your wells. Your raw umber. We're just doing it to get it a little bit more opaque. Take a generous drop of your raw umber.
Okay.
Mix these guys together like that. So we've just taken our raw umber and we've just made it a little bit more opaque, a little bit less translucent with our milkshake mixture. And that is what you're definitely going to hit down here with. Up in here, I'm going to tell you to add a little bit of water to that just so that it moves around. But I'm going from the bottom up. And again, it's important here to cover fill in all your lines, fill in all the holes rather. We don't want any canvas to show through. I'm not going all the way to the top because we're going to mix it with more of our milkshake color because we want it to be darker than this, but still lighter than this.
Okay.
And then at the end, we'll do a technique where we just paint the green paint right on top and make it look kind of like moss.
Ooh.
And that's kind of its own technique. But if you want to just take a look at the painting you're doing, we filled in a lot and we're getting pretty far.
Yeah,
Right? So if you look at this and you look at this, we're getting really far, and you should be really proud of it. Filling all this in, just like that. And then I'm going to take some of this. And I'm going to take kind of what's left of this. So we want it to be darker than this, and this is what guaranteeing it will be. And we're going to kind of drop in at the tops of this, filling in all the holes.
The comment section is still silent, Al.
Yeah. That means happy painters, I hope. All through here. And so sometimes we do these kind of foundational washes just to kind of figure out what's going on. In this case, we're doing kind of a foundational base layer.
Okay.
With kind of thick, rich paint. And then we'll paint from there. This is kind of this sort of foothill area down here. And if you're comfortable working with a lot of paint, this is a good project for you to really dig into that, to turn into that.
I've grown comfortable with working with a lot of paint because I've made so many mistakes where I put too much paint on my palette. All right, here we go.
Day is that day, yeah. But see, in this case, that's kind of the texture that we're working with here, where we kind of get the attitude of the island. Ooh, I like the attitude of the island.
Yeah.
All right. So we will be doing this kind of moss texture on top of here. Right now, we're going to let this dry. I'm going to just kind of check for itty bitty teeny tiny holes. And take a look at what we've got. So I'm going to kind of compare this to this. And I definitely want these kind of khaki colored mountains to be more green. And so I'm going to take what was my background tone, and I'm going to add a little bit more green to it. I've got a little bit of sort of cross-contamination brown in there.
Yeah.
That's okay though, for what I'm doing. And I'm going to add a whole bunch of sap green so it doesn't disappear. just like that. And that's a little bit closer to the color I want it to be. And this is how we're going to kind of do it with the white veil technique. To make sure I've got some white in there because that's the color I want.
Okay.
And I'm going to put some water on my brush. And these mountains have dried. And I'm just going to kind of go over them with this green tone I've got.
Okay. And did those have white caps on them to begin
It
with?
did, yes.
Yes.
And we're going to
Okay.
put that in too. So I still like the color we started with because we have some depth going light over dark.
Mhm.
And that's definitely the tone of the shadows. So I'm going to kind of white veil it there. And then I'm going to need some more white, add some more white. The middle. I've got a little bit of this still in my brush. So and then I'm going to kind of just sort of white cap just this top edge. Too much paint there.
Man,
There
we
we
are
go.
working it.
Look at how
This
far
is-
we are.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna kind of blend this. But yeah, that's what we want. Good stuff. All right. Now, and this is really fun. On top of this, to set the stage for our super green moss, we're going to add a little of the same khaki green that we initially put back here. I'm just going to kind of start massaging into this mountain. I'm just kind of following along. It kind of comes around here. Up and around. In here.
I really am enjoying the extra paint texture.
Yeah, and this is a different kind of painting than some of the more really intricate ones that we do. And it's really, really a good subject matter for this kind of technique.
Yeah.
Back around here. Here. That's exactly how we want that at this point. And now, the other thing I'd say is just make sure you get the top because it's these kind of moss topped mountains. One of my favorite, we'll do it at some point, kind of subject matters is kind of an emerald forest where everything's kind of moss colored and green and kind of enchanted looking.
Yeah.
And this is a different kind of version of that, but I think some of the same. So that got that going on. And now I'm going to take my little brush. If I can find it. I had it. Where are you? Here we go. Here's my little brush. And kind of do the same thing we did down here with our raw umber. And a touch of white just to make it more opaque. Just like this.
Okay.
And so this looks kind of like maybe melted chocolate, like you're gonna dip a strawberry in it. It'll loosen it up just a little bit. And we are going to, with these back trees, fill them in pretty much all brown.
Okay.
So,
You know, my raw umber isn't as dark as yours.
really?
Yeah. Yours seems so dark in the video.
Well, I don't know how to tell you this, Hershey. Not all.
Paints are created equal.
So I guess I got a darker one. It also might be the lighting,
Maybe, yeah.
but
That's funny.
so we're just gonna paint this in. I think on the outlines that went out, that's not what I used. They were all the way filled in. And that's kind of because of this technique. Just gonna fill these guys right in. You're kind of starting to see your whole painting right now as you fill in these.
Yep. You know, when I think about doing the highlights, I always think about white. And I love when we highlight things with just a lighter version of itself.
Yes, and that's kind of what we're gonna get to do here.
Cheryl just messaged. She's late, but she's thoroughly enjoying the class today.
Fantastic. Welcome. And Cheryl knows that at any point she can rewatch and join and see what's up. So no loss. You could hear a little after when we start. So again, I'm just filling these in kind of with our brown or raw umber.
There you go.
And your paint's going to shrink up on you. We know how that works. So as I see that happening over here, I'm just kind of going back in. Just like that. We have our little trees over here. And if you look at these, they kind of sort of stay brown. They get a little bit more texture.
Yeah.
But not a whole lot more. And then there's this really fun kind of feather duster tree. That's what I've been calling it in the foreground. To me, it's kind of like the feather duster in Beauty and the Beast. Like it's fabulous and in all ways anthropomorphic in a way. But it's our palm tree. And this. Almost done here. All right, those are my trees over there. These are my trees over here. I'm just gonna kind of move around some of the liquid, even things out. The next thing I'm gonna do is kind of either make more of or use the milkshake color that we had, which was the brown and white. And I have some right here, so I'm not gonna make any more. And I'm gonna paint in the base of my tree with that. We're gonna start with that. So this is kind of the trunk of the tree, wraps around that way. You catch little parts of the background you didn't quite fill in correctly before. That's what I'm kind of course correcting. Now, I'm also going to make this kind of skirt that comes down. That in. That. And then we're going to come back over to our brown colors where it was pretty much just the raw umber and maybe a touch of white. And we're going to find all the areas where our darks are. So it's the top of this skirt. Paint that in. It's the trunk of the tree right here. This underside on the right side. Filling that in. It's right here. I want everybody to be able to see. See if I can kind of, I'm going to take this off just so that everyone can see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Down here, we got some strokes going on. Just like that. Over here, this kind of almost outlines up like this. Like that. This kind of has a line that says that, and then strokes around here. Up into here. This is the heart of palm, Hershey.
Yes, it is.
The heart of palm. Right there. Right here underneath on this palm frond, we're kind of going in this direction. Just like that. Kind of the top of the sleeve right here. Top of this one. Right here. I also want to mention we haven't pulled out our yellow yet. Has anyone noticed that?
Ooh, we have not.
We're going to do the yellow in the end. Yellow is also one of those colors that wasn't created equally, so we're not going to waste it in the beginning. We're going to kind of hit it in the end. Some of this up here I'm filling in. Over here we have kind of a sweeping, cascading down. Dark around there. Right here we have some of our and there we go. Our darks. Now, surprise, surprise. We're just gonna fill the rest of this in with white. We have a little bit of brown in it like this does. Doesn't have to be our pure white, shouldn't be probably. But this is just gonna all get filled in with white.
Like a base color.
Like a base color. Fill in your holes. Just like this. Again, it's hardly white anymore because I've got brown on my brush and I'm not worried about it, which is fine.
Mhm.
But the rest of this, we're just gonna make white. We were gonna let it dry. And there's so many, we jump around this painting so many times. It's not really a hairdryer painting. It's not like
Right.
we wait
Yeah.
on something.
It gets time to dry.
Yeah, we get plenty of time to dry because we're going all over the place. Down like that. Around like that. Here.
Cheryl, she's so funny. She goes, she writes in the comments just now, Allison, she goes, I wonder how long it will take for me to learn or for me to understand those color choices you come to so easily. Surprise white, for example, she said.
Surprise white.
Yeah.
Maybe when we private label paint someday, we'll have surprise white.
Yeah.
We'll call it that. Well, yeah.
Yeah, why did we use the white?
So the reason we're using the white, and again, it's barely white in this instance, but the reason we're using the white is because we want the yellow to read yellow and we want the green to read green. And that's going to do that on stark contrast.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'd be painting and painting and painting and layering and layering and layering. And these are very translucent colors. And so we don't complain. We just, kind of make shift.
Yeah.
We have this kind of brown white that we ended up with. I'm going to kind of hit these white sort of finish tones and kind of the grass skirt on the palm tree. Mm-hmm. Just in here like this. We might even get a little lighter on that. And then on the left side of the trunk right here. And then with our kind of khaki green that we mixed before, we're going to kind of hit these highlights in these trees right here. We're actually going to barely do it over here, so I'm going to stay away from these for a moment. But in these trees over here, we're going to kind of put in some of our palm bronze strokes. One kind of goes like this. One kind of goes like this. If it's still wet, that's okay. It's just going to kind of mix into what you've got. One kind of comes over like this. The heart of palm is right about here. So I'm just kind of acknowledging that. Some strokes right here. Some strokes right here. Here. This will be a little bit greener. Just like that. Same thing goes for over here. Do these strokes right here, down here, over here, over here. Here, right around here. Just like that. And then just slightly lighter. So if that was pretty much our pure raw umber right here, just a little bit lighter, like a half shade. I'm just going to kind of hit some highlights. In these trees. And really, I'm just kind of going with the tops of the leaves. Over here. Just kind of giving it a little bit of depth.
It looks great.
Thank you.
It's realistic.
And isn't it interesting that sometimes when you're working kind of loosely, this is a really loose painting. We've had some really tight paintings before. I think our Strawberry Sunset was a really tight painting.
Yeah.
But sometimes you get very realistic when you're working loosely. And I love that. That's kind of the magic of the whole thing, right? That's the... Okay, so in working always trying to, well, especially in this instance, it's kind of a sometimes, always, never. More often than not, you're going to want to work backwards to forwards because that's how things stack up, right? So we're going to want to try and hit, before we get to our tree over here, we're going to want to try and hit this like super green, right? And the way we're going to do that is find a corner of your well you haven't used yet, right? Add a touch, a dab, a smidge of clean white. Wash out your brush if you haven't. And mix it into your sap green.
Okay.
And you're going to get this kind of emerald green. Not really emerald. What would you call it? Pea green.
There we go.
Because we like peas here. And almost with too much paint on your brush, start kind of hitting the tops of this to get your mossy green. And I'm kind of laying it on like this. And I'm going to go in and kind of mess it up later. So I'm laying it on. I want to make sure I'm getting the tops of my foothills. Just like this. This is kind of this sort of dual foothill.
Mm-hmm.
Around here. So I want to leave this kind of pocket opening in between. And always remember, if you don't really get the pocket opening, big deal. If you're like, oh, I just filled that whole thing in, moving on. Never something you want to belabor. Just not worth it.
That's what makes it an original.
Exactly. All right. And now I'm going to kind of wash off my brush and dry it. And there's a lot of different ways to do dry brush techniques. But in this instance, I want a really kind of dry, almost uncomfortably dry brush that I'm going to kind of mess up the tip of. Not to wreck your brush, but yeah. And I'm just going to kind of rub around this paint so that it looks kind of irregular.
Okay.
Because we want this to kind of look not perfectly laid in. We just kind of want it to look overgrown, messy.
Yeah.
So we're kind of pushing around the paint. That's already there. Just like that. With that same color you just mixed, not missed. We're gonna put in our greens in our feather duster tree. We're gonna see where they go. So there's some green. Move some things so everybody can see. So there's some green right down here. Gonna make sure that goes in. Do you see how nicely that's setting up on the white we put down?
Yeah.
Just like that around here. And I'm putting in the kind of the truest greens. We'll fill in kind of some of the tin slate in a minute.
Okay.
Around here I'm gonna hit these greens. Just like that. Up in here. I'm gonna hit some of these greens. Just like that. Over here. Just like that. A little bit kind of setting this up. Underneath kind of here at this point. Here. Over here. Looking good. All right. Now, I'm going to kind of loosen up that green almost into a wash texture and kind of fill in some of these other areas, but I want it to be really light. So just almost glaze white and go over all the other sort of in between lighter toned greens. Just like this. We're approaching the 8 o'clock mark. I feel like we've been great with time. We usually go to about 8:30 on paint nights.
Yep.
All right.
Time flew today, didn't it?
I'm totally flew today. Okay. So let's just take a look at our painting for a second. And I'm going to compare it for just a moment. We're going to kind of do a check-in with our painting and what's left to do. So I'm just looking back and forth and back and forth. And there's some lighter tones I'd like to still hit in these trees. There's some highlighting in this kind of skirt area and trunk area that I'd like to get in. And then there's some highlights in our mossy hill area and some yellows in that and some yellows in this. So that's what's left at this point. But I'm going to focus on my areas that are kind of least behind where I'd like them to be, and that's in these trees. So I'm going to take kind of one of my green-brown mixtures, this one. And I'm going to add a little more white to it. And this is kind of like what Hershey was talking about. We're not highlighting with white, we're highlighting kind of with itself. So we had this kind of green brown we put in. We're adding, I want it to be a little bit greener and a little bit lighter. And I'm just going to hit a few of these really nice, they almost look minty highlights in our palm trees. Just like this. And that's giving me just a little bit more depth. These are more kind of controlled strokes, but playful still.
I like that.
Just like that. And then in our background here, I am going to take what was our lightest green and add a little bit of lemon yellow, or actually kind of a lot of bit of lemon yellow, because lemon yellow is one of those colors that was most definitely not created equal.
Right.
And this has some white in it. So if you have to mix this from scratch, it's just really it's lemon yellow and white with a little bit of brown green in it. So that's what this looks like here. And I'm just going to kind of pepper that into our mossy hill here, because this is closest to us, atmospheric perspective. This is going to be the warmest areas. We're showing a lot of depth. Those foothill trees or those foothill mountains in the back could be miles away. So we're definitely catching our warmest tones in front, and we want to show that progression. And this is kind of that same sort of messy, scattered.
Ooh, that moss is looking real good.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
And right now it's the only place we have yellows. So we're going to course correct that in just a moment, because there's some really beautiful yellows in our feather duster tree. And I went with the moss. I almost want you to feel the sun coming down. You want to like walk through your yard sometimes on a really sunny day, and it's like the temperature changes by the step if you're in the sun or in the shade.
Yes.
That's kind of how I want this moss, the yellow of the moss to feel. All right, so mess it up a little. All right, with that same yellow, we're gonna go in and put it into our feather duster tree. Where does the yellow go? Well, certainly some right here. You see what branch I'm on.
Mm-hmm.
Underneath, right here. On this one right here. It's got some of our yellow. Over here on the sky. Sure, everyone can see what I'm looking at. There's a lot of it kind of sweeping through here.
Excuse me.
Here. And here.
You know, Cheryl wrote in a little bit ago, she wrote fuchsia-ish.
What's that?
Cheryl wrote in fuchsia-ish.
Fuchsia-ish. I like, did I say that earlier?
I don't know. I'm trying to see how that was.
Sounds like that sounds like a color for our, maybe I said that in the strawberry sunset. It would fit. So there's those colors right there. And I'm actually going to go back to my raw umber, because this is dried and some of it's not quite as dark as I'd like it to be. So I'm just going to hit some of these darks through here. The heart of palm is kind of right here. We will forever say that.
That's right. When you're trying to find the center of a palm tree.
Yeah. And I feel like we like palm trees here at Time for Art.
Yeah, for sure.
So this will not be the last palm nor heart of palm. So I'm just going back into some of my darks.
I think Cheryl thinks that we're using a color that's related to fuchsia.
Oh, okay. Which one?
I don't know. She wrote, fuchsia looks like, if I'm saying that right,
Yeah,
Fuschia.
that sounds right to me.
Yeah, right. She said, okay, fuchsia looks like what you are using. You never said fuchsia-ish. She said that was mine-ish, or that was
I
me-ish.
love it. I think a fuchsia is more of a pink, but maybe it's not.
I thought so too. Maybe her raw umber is way different.
Case in point, not all colors are created equally. So I'm just kind of going in and reinforcing all of my darks here that sort of we put down first because they're not dark enough at this point.
Okay.
Just like that. Here too. Just kind of some of this going on down here.
Cheryl, man, she keeps cracking me up. She wrote, true, fuchsia is pink and so are my embarrassed cheeks.
Oh, I love it. I love it, love it, love it.
Love it, love
Right.
it, love it.
And then last, but certainly not least, we're going to pull up our straight up sap green. And we're just going to kind of put that in strategic places. Don't mix anything into it. But we're just going to take some sap green and we're just going to kind of hit some green notes. So around here, around here. And there's a reason we save this for the end, because if we did this in the beginning, we'd be seeing white canvas through it because it's one of our more translucent colors. So I am just hitting some choice green notes with my straight up sap green.
Some serious highlights.
Try to call these highlights. I'd call it more like bold tones, like, because it's not as light as a highlight might be.
Mm-hmm.
This is just where we want to kind of really saturate our painting. Just like that. In some of these areas in the moss, you see where it's really, really green, like in here. Here. We're just layering this in. It's supposed to look overgrown. It's supposed to look irregular. That. Just like that. And then the only other thing, even though I said this was the last thing we were going to do, and obviously I lied to you, is if you just want to take a little white and just kind of highlight for real, because it would be the lighter tone, just some straight up white. The only places I want to do that are in our feather duster tree. Okay. I'm going to be really sparing about them because we worked really hard to get all this color differentiation. So I don't want the whole thing to go white, but I want just a little bit of highlight here. A little bit of highlight. A little bit goes a long way. Highlights are precious. A little bit of highlight around here. And your painting could be totally different and not need this. I'm just looking to see where mine does. So a little bit of white here. Some white here. little bit along here. Maybe just a touch in here. And then I'm going to hit the highlight again in the grass skirt.
There were grass skirts in both our paintings this week, or this month.
So many grass skirts going on.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of highlight right here. And there we have it. Here is our Jurassic Park style landscape. If someone would like to add a token pterodactyl raptor or stegosaurus, we're interested. If you don't want to, we don't blame you. But if you feel so inclined to
For a minute, I thought you were going to teach us how to draw or paint a pterodactyl.
Well, let's put it this way. If anyone, let us know in the comments. If anyone would like to see a pterodactyl come next Monday before we do original paintings, let us know. And I will teach us how to draw a pterodactyl. But that is time for it tonight. We wrapped it up at about 8:10. So any final words for us, Hershey, before we do?
Yeah, don't forget that your template challenges are due on Friday, and we can't wait to see what you guys upload. Don't forget to upload tonight's work plus your template challenges in the subscriber group. And I guess we'll see you guys next week.
Last night to subscribe.
Oh, that's right. Last night to subscribe if you want to get
next
those.
Month, if you are month to month or want to refer anyone for next week, we'd love to have you. All right. Good night, everybody. We'll see you Monday. Take care.
Bye now.
Bye.